Okay. So the first question is factorize fully 18c minus 45cd. When we are talking about factorize fully, that means even we have to write down the factors of numerical coefficient as well as the variable. So now I can put 18 as 3 times 6 c minus 45 can be put as 3 times 15 cd. Then we can take 3 common, and then it will be, we can take 3c common. Again, we can put here 3 times 2c minus 3 times 5 cd. So we can take now, you see 3 times 3, 9 common actually. And then it will be 2c minus, oh sorry, 9c we can take common. Even the variable is also there common. So 9c, and then we are left with 2 minus 5d. This is the complete factorization. I hope you people have understood that first I've taken 3 common, then 6 and 15, again 3 is common. Then c is the variable which is common between both terms. So c is also taken outside, and then 2 minus 5d. So this is fully factorized. If I will write 3c 6 minus 15d, still you see this is not fully factorized. That's why this is fully factorized. Now 5 minus 2x by 6 equal to 3x minus 4. This is algebraic fraction. Very simple. 5 minus, and also remember when we are talking about solve, this is the keyword to identify what you have to do. Here, because it is written solve, means you have to find the value of x. If it is written simplify, you will be just simplifying and finding the final algebraic term. But here, because it is written solve, you will be finding value of x. So 5 minus 2x is equals to 6 into 3x minus 4. 5 minus 2x equals to 3 6 are 18. 18x minus 6 times 4 is 24. Then bringing x terms this side, so it will be minus 2x minus 18x equals to minus 24 minus 5. Here this will become minus 20x, and here this will become minus 29. Then this negative sign goes off, and then x equals to 29 over 20. That's how much it will be. I think it will find it out if x is equal to 29 by 20, or you can write it in decimals. Check out the decimal.
1.45.
How much?
1.45.
1.45.
1.45, yes. Now the next question. 1400 as a product of power of its prime factors. So it's very simple. You can use factor T diagram, or you can use division prime factorization. I'll start with 2 because the last number is 0. Here your divisibility rules helps you a lot. I hope all of you know divisibility rules. When last digit is 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, it's divisible by 2. This is divisibility rule of 2. When the last digit is 0 or 5, it's divisible by 5. If addition of the numbers is divisible by 3, then the number is also divisible by 3. This is the divisibility rule by 3. Then what is divisibility rule by 4? When the last two digits are divisible by 4, then the whole number is divisible by 4. This is divisibility rule by 4. So 2, 4, 3, 5 I gave you. Divisibility rule by 6 is 2 and 3. If a number is divisible by 2 and 3, it is divisible by 6. Anyways, here we look out for the prime factors because we are talking. So 253. Now if you see 1400, last term is 0, I can start with 2. 2 sevens are 14, 0, 0. Then goes again 2. 2 threes are 6, 1, 2 fives are 10, 0. Then again, I think here still I can use 2. 2 ones are 2, 2 sevens are 14, 2 fives are 10. Then I will go with 2. No, not 2, because now here the 5 it is, so it will be, I'll be going with 5. 5 threes are 15. Then how much? 2 is left. 5 fives are 25. Then 5 sevens are 35. 7 ones are 7. So the prime factorization of 1400 is 1, 2, 3. So that can be written as 2 cube into 5 is 2 times. So 5 square into 7. Okay. This is how you do prime factorization. Now solve the simultaneous equation. From the word simultaneous itself, you can understand that both have the same solution. So 3x plus 2y equals to 10, and 3x, here I can directly solve this equation because you can see 3x is same. So there are three methods to solve simultaneous equation. One is elimination method, another is substitution method, and third one is graphical method. Here we are not using graphical method because no graph is provided, nothing is mentioned. Here he has clearly mentioned algebraic working, so we can use both elimination and substitution, whatever you feels easy. I will prefer elimination here because you see these two are same. What is substitution? You can make x value and then you can substitute. So even I'm not going for substitution method. If you remember, when we have solved in the last class quadratic equation, in there we have used substitution method. Now elimination method means eliminating one of the variable, and then we are using elimination method. Eliminating means eliminating one of the variable, finding another one, and then substituting it in the any one of the equations. So here, because I have to eliminate and I'm not able to eliminate if I'm adding the equation, so I will subtract the equations. So when I subtract, plus becomes minus, minus becomes plus, plus becomes minus. So this goes off, and then 4y plus 2y is 6y equals to 10 minus 16 is minus 6. Then y equal to minus 6 by 6. That's the answer is minus 1. So we got y equal to minus 1. Now that value we will substitute in any, let me put this as equation 1, equation 2. So substitute y equal to minus 6 in equation 1. So 3x plus into this, in place of y, minus 1 equal to 10. 3x minus 2 equals to 10, and then 3x is equals to 10 plus 2, which becomes x equals to 12 over 3. Because this 3, we want x. 3 is in multiplication, it comes down for division. Minus 2 became plus 2. 3 ones are 3, 3 fours are 12, so value of x is 4. So the solution of x we got as 4 and y we got as minus 1. I hope it's clear. Any clarification is needed in this question, do let me know. In the previous question,
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, clear.
okay, thank you. Now look at this question. Joshua is going to cover a floor with the tiles for a customer. Okay, there is a floor and he has to cover that floor with the tiles. The total area of the floor is 45 meters square. The area of the floor is 45 meters square. Joshua, okay, buy one box of tiles for each 1.5 meters square of floor area. Okay, so for 40, he needed one box of tiles for covering only 1.5 meters square of area. One box recovers 1.5 meters square. Now, each box cost, one box cost euro 64. Joshua also buy, okay, apart from tiles, he is buying adhesive also. So adhesive is costing, he has total purchased 5 bags of adhesive. Each bag, one bag is 12 euros. Now Joshua has charged the customer 3,000 euros. Work out his percentage profit. Okay. So that means the cost price he spent. No. The selling price he has taken from the customer. I can call it like, selling price or the new value, what he charged to the customer. So it's a very simple problem actually, but you have to do, in this problem, you have unitary method as well. Anyways, now one box of tile. First of all, we should find out how many boxes of tiles are required to cover 45 meters square. So for 1.5 meters, one box, then for 45, we should first of all divide 45 by 1.5 to know. So basically it's like that. For 45 meters square, number of boxes into 1.5. So for that, if we want to find number of boxes, how many number of boxes are required, simply do 45 by 1.5. How much it will be? 45 by 1.5.
30.
30.
30?
30.
Right. So that gives us the value of number of boxes. Now we got number of boxes equals to 30. Now cost for boxes will be, because he has to cover all, it will be 30 into 64. This we are finding the cost of boxes that Joshua has spent. So now 30 into 64 is 1,920 euros. So he has spent 1,920 euros on boxes. Now remember, he even bought adhesive as well. So cost of adhesive equals to 5 into, each bag is costing 12 euros. So 5 times 12 will give me the total cost. So total cost of adhesive is 5 times 12, that's 60, right? So he has spent 60 euros on adhesive. Now the total cost Joshua spent for the customer is equals to 1,920 plus 60, that become 1,980 euros. Is that clear? All the workings are clear here to everybody? He spent this much, but he charged the customer 3,000, so definitely there is profit. Now how to find percentage profit is, percentage profit equals to what he has sold, new value, what selling price 3,000 minus what was the cost price, how much he has spent, 1,980. So this I can mark it as new value minus old value, or selling price minus cost price divided by cost price. Yeah, means old value, cost price into 100. So this will be 3,000 minus 190, 3,000 minus 1,980 is 1020. You can type the same thing in your calculator and find out the percentage. You don't have to do a lot of working. For the understanding, I'm writing 1020 divided by 1980 is 51. 51 into 100 is 51%. So he has got the profit percentage as 51 point. Actually, it will be 51.51 and you have to correct to one decimal place, 51.5. So 51.5 will become 51.5 will become what? Can anybody answer me this question? 51.5?
52.
52.
Yes.
52.
Because you have, it becomes 52% decimal. After decimal, 5 is there. So until 4, it will be 51 like this. Any clarity is needed in this question? You can ask me.
No, ma'am.
Okay, proceeding further. Now, this is the question
Ma'am,
related.
can you repeat the profit by selling price into 100 formula again?
Look, generally, when we are finding percentage change in any course, a percentage change is new value minus old value by old value into 100. This is the formula. Now, when we are talking about profit percentage, it is selling price, because selling price will be more in profit, minus cost price divided by cost price into 100. If we talk about loss, in loss, what will happen? Cost price minus selling price, because cost price will be more, divided by cost price only into 100. So here I have applied the same thing. For profit percentage, what he spent totally, I calculated by calculating each individual thing. Like 30 boxes, 30 into 64 is 1,920.
Ma'am, for the profit formula, we have to take the selling price as the denominator.
Here, no, always cost price, no selling price. Selling price minus cost price by cost price into 100. Here also cost price minus selling price, cost price only. Or always you take original value below. Okay. Now, can anybody? I hope that this you people, all of you, know how to find reflection, translation, all the transformations are clear to you people. I'm asking a question. Is it clear or not?
Not really.
Not clear?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, hold on just a minute. We will come back to that question. First, we will understand what are transformations. I have observed that many of you have the doubt in this question. So, let us understand what are transformations. Which one you want me to explain again, Aksha?
The previous one, the word problem which we were doing.
You want me to explain that again?
Yes.
I will get back to you after completing this, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so the transformations are, there are, you might have learned about there are 4 types of transformation of the shapes I'm talking about. This is not about graphs. Translation, reflection, rotation, enlargement. Let us understand each one. What is translation? Translation means when you shift the shape from one position to another position, there will be no change in the shape, neither in the size. When you are doing translation, we require one information, that is vector, and if we know the vector, it is easy to translate a shape. Now, if you see here, when the shape is translated from A to B using the vector 3 comma minus 4, that means we have moved 3 boxes. We will select a corner. I'll get back to what we are going to do. These are the steps we are going to follow. You select a corner and then you check out the vector. What is the vector given here? 2 and 3. So you will move. Now this 2 means moving right and left. So when it is positive 2, you will move towards right. When it is minus 2, you will move towards left. Then this 3 is about moving up and down. So if it is positive 3, you move up. If it is negative 3, you will move down. So when it is 2, 3, what you will do? 2 means right. So you will select a corner, 2 positions right, and then 3 is also there. So 3 up, so 3 positions up. And then you mark that corner. Similarly, you will select another corner, 2 positions right, 3 positions up. So again, you will mark this corner. Once even if you are not able to practice much, you can mark this corner also, 2 positions here and 3 up, 3 up, so you get 1 corner. Once you get all the 3 corners, draw the new shape. That will be the translation of shape C into C dash. Again, let's see one more question here. This is the point. This is the point, and then when you mark first, then you look for the vector. What is the vector? Minus 4, 2. Minus 4 means you will be moving towards left. How many? 4 positions. So 4 positions left. And then 2 means up or down. Here, because it is positive 2, it will be up. So you will be moving 2 up. And then you mark the new corner. Excuse me, mute yourself. Then you go for the new position and then you mark it. And then if you are marking the 2 corners, it's enough for you people to draw. If somebody are not able to draw, then you can even mark the next corner, the 3rd corner, and then draw the shape. This is translation. Now, coming to the next topic, reflection, which was our question also. So in reflection, like in translation, we have the information that we needed a vector to do translation. Similarly, in reflection, we need one thing which is called as line of reflection or mirror line. In your regular life also, what do you mean by reflection? When you see your image in the mirror, that's a reflection. So here also reflection, when we are doing reflection, we need a mirror line. And what we have to do is we have to draw a when I explain you with the animation, that will be better. So this is the shape. We have to reflect this shape in the line y equal to 0. Here the very important thing for you people is to identify the mirror line properly in the graph. So here the mirror line is y equal to 0. That means it is the line it is this place on the graph where y value is 0. Can you identify here in this graph where y value will be 0? In this graph, where you can find y as 0?
The whole x-axis.
Yes,
Line along the x-axis.
whole x-axis will be 0. You can see this point is 0, 0, this point is 2, 0, this point will be 4, 0, this point will be 6, 0. So on the x-axis, all y values are 0. So our mirror line as of now is x equal x-axis. This one. Now we got the mirror line. What we have to do is we have to join we have to select one of the corner and join that to the mirror line like this. Perpendicularly. Remember that it should be perpendicular distance. Now, how many boxes it has covered? In this, we are using the physics concept. What is the physics concept? If you observe, if you have full mirror in your home, when you stand in front of the mirror, your image also is here. If you move somewhat back, even you will see your image is also moving back. So the idea is the distance between you and the distance between object and the mirror is equal to the distance between the mirror and the image. So here also we are going to use the same concept. The image, the point, distance between the point and the mirror line is equal to the distance between the image object point and the mirror line. So what we will do here, if it is 3, we will again proceed 3 here, 3 boxes here, and then mark the new corner. Similarly, for this also, for the another corner also, we do the same thing. But remember, it should be perpendicular distance. And here also it should be perpendicular distance. So when you mark this, like this, when you mark all the 3 corners, you get a shape. That shape is S dash. It is the image. Now, I hope one more thing about the physics, you know that your image is laterally inverted. You might have seen your right hand become left hand become right hand for your image. So here also the image is laterally inverted. The sides change. See, this side has come laterally inverted images. Okay. Now, here you see the line. I'm not going to explain you the reflection now because we are running out of time. Here x equal to 2 means which line? So you will mark the point here x equal to 2 and then draw the mirror line like this. This is one. Now, in this graph, can you tell me where is the line x equal to y or y equal to x can be drawn? X equal to y or y equal to x, where it will be in this graph, where I can draw this line y equal to x.
It will be a slanted line.
Very good. It will be the slanted line passing through the origin. You see, this is the point. This is the point where we have both x and y equal 0, 0. So it is passing through the origin. So we can say the line y equal to x is this line, is the mirror line like this. So it's very important for all of us to understand mirror line because that only helps you to solve your reflection problem properly. Otherwise, the steps are very clear. The next steps, once you identify the correct mirror line, drawing the perpendicular distances and then finding the points are easy. Now coming to the next part, that is rotation. What we do in rotation, like in translation, we required a vector. Like in reflection, we needed a mirror line. Here, we need 2 information when we are doing rotation. One is in which direction, either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Then we needed how much degrees we have to rotate, whether 90, 180, 270. If you know that your graph is divided into 4 quadrants, each quadrant is representing 90 degrees. So this is 90 and then this 90 and then this turn will be 180 because 90 plus 90 is 180. And then this turn will be 270. When it is completely turning, it is 360. So generally when a rotation problem is given, you will be given the angles 90, 180 and 270. When it is clockwise like this, when it is anti-clockwise, like this. So now, it's a very simple thing. Again, I'll show you with an animation. This is your shape and you needed a trace paper for this rotation. You might have read in your paper in the starting material required calculator and trace paper. So trace paper is required here. Rotate shape A clockwise through 90 degree about the origin. One more information. I said we needed the direction, that is clockwise or anti-clockwise, then the angle. Then one more information what is needed is called center of rotation. Center of rotation is, now here if you read rotate shape A clockwise through 90 degree about the origin, origin will be 0, 0. This point is called center of rotation. So now first what we will do is, we will, when a shape is given, we will join one of the corner of the shape with the center of rotation like this. Okay, and then we put a trace paper completely on the shape covering the center of rotation also. Now once we put a trace paper, you can trace the shape here. Once you trace the shape, keep your pencil, like how you keep a compass point on the paper and draw a circle. Likewise, you have to keep your pencil here on this point and hold it upright. And then hold this corner of the trace paper and turn it. How much you have to turn? You have to turn clockwise 90 degrees. So you will turn it. When you turn the shape, you see, when you turn the trace paper, the shape which you have traced on the paper will come on the next, wherever you have turned after 90 degree, it will come like this. You can mark the points here using the trace paper. You can mark the points on the graph and then remove the trace paper and draw the shape. That's how you will do your rotation. You will get the new shape after rotation. If the same shape you have to rotate anti-clockwise 180, even the shape will come back here itself. Now you see. Here it is. 180, no? So from here till here. You have to move 2 times. 90, 180. Any clarification is needed here?
No.
Now one more reflection. You see shape D anti-clockwise through 90 degree. So anti-clockwise through 90 degree about the point 2, -1. So first mark it, then put a trace paper, trace your shape, and then you rotate anti-clockwise 90 degrees. So the shape will come here. Rotation clockwise through 270 degree will also be, you will be getting the same place. 270 means you will be moving 3 blocks. Again, it will come here itself. Now, what if the center of rotation is inside? The same process you will do. First, mark the center of rotation, mark any one of the corner. And then rotate, you will get the shape. That's how rotation is done. Now, enlargement. From the word itself, you can understand that the shape will be enlarged. When the class is ending, rejoin again, please. So you need to be able to enlarge a shape about a given point. Like in rotation, we needed center of rotation, we needed direction, and we needed angle. Here we need something called as scale factor. So if we have the scale factor greater than 1, the shape will get bigger. And if we have a scale factor less than 1, the shape will get smaller, but still it is called an enlargement. It will not be called, we call it as enlargement only. Now, let us look at the examples. Even we will have negative scale factors if you are writing a higher tier paper. Now, first of all, when a scale factor is greater than 1, what we are going to do? First, mark the, one more thing is needed. Apart from scale factor, like in rotation, we needed COR, center of rotation. Here we need COE, which is center of enlargement. So if you see enlarge shape P about the origin, the point is 0, 0. This is your center of enlargement with scale factor 2. Now draw a line from COE to the point. And what you are doing from the COE, you join to the corner and then count how many boxes is with 1, 2, 3. 3 boxes are covered here. Now this 3 unit boxes we will multiply with scale factor. Scale factor is 2. So 3 times 2 if I do, it is 6. You will come back to the center of enlargement, and from here again you will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the new corner you will be marking here. This is your new vertex. Similarly, for the second corner also you do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 4 times 2 is 8. You will come back to the center of enlargement. From here you will start again 8 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8. You mark the new corner. For the third one also, you see, if I join, it is only one box. So if I multiply 1 with 2, it will be 2. So 1, 2. The new corner is here. And then when you draw the shape is enlarged. Any clarity is required here?
No, ma'am.
Now, when the scale factor is less than 1, what will happen? You see, when it is less than 1, first same process. Mark the